The air in the low-orbit bazaar smelled of ozone, frying spices, and the metallic tang of recycled oxygen. It was a scent Noah lived with every day as a systems engineer on the frontier, but tonight, mixed with the floral pheromones of 1,000 different species, it felt suffocating. This was Sector 4 of the Grand Orbital Station, a place where the rigid laws of the core worlds dissolved into the chaotic commerce of the fringe. Above Noah's head, the shimmering, translucent dome of a force field kept the hard vacuum of space at bay, ripple-patterned with the mesmerizing glow of neon advertisements floating in zero-gravity clusters. Holographic dragons curled around vendors selling illegal tech, and weeping willows made of pure light dropped digital petals onto the shoulders of mercenaries and merchants alike. Noah adjusted the collar of his dress uniform. It was stiff, uncomfortable, and one size too small. He was not a diplomat. He was the guy who fixed the atmospheric scrubbers when they clogged and calibrated the universal translators when they started turning greetings into insults. Yet, due to a staffing shortage and his certification in linguistic subroutines, here he was, standing guard over a delegation of sweating human trade officials. The humans looked out of place. They were soft, pale, and terrified, clutching their datapads like shields. They stood near the entrance of a ceremonial pavilion that had been erected overnight, a structure of grown coral and singing glass reserved for the VIPs. Rumors had been flying through the station ventilation shafts for weeks. The trade agreement was stalling. The alien matriarchy, a powerful empire that controlled the shipping lanes of the 3 nearest sectors, was losing patience with human bureaucracy. Tonight was the breaking point. The whisper on the wire was that the alien monarch had sent her own daughters to seal the deal, or shatter it. Noah shifted his weight, trying to ease the ache in his lower back. He checked his wrist comp. The translation matrix was running at 99% efficiency. He tapped the screen, trying to squeeze that last 1% out of the system. Then the crowd noise changed. It did not go silent. Instead, the chaotic roar of bartering and arguing shifted into a low, rhythmic thrumming, like a collective intake of breath. The sea of bodies, chitinous insectoids, gas-breathing floaters, and cybernetic miners, parted with respectful, almost fearful speed. They had arrived. Noah looked up from his wrist comp and felt his breath hitch. He had seen hollows of the royal daughters, of course, but 3-dimensional projections could not capture the sheer physical presence of them. Leary came first. She was the eldest, and she moved with a terrifying grace, her feet barely seeming to touch the deck plates. Her skin was a canvas of luminous, shifting patterns, pale violet light pulsing beneath an alabaster surface in time with her heartbeat. She wore a dress that seemed to be alive, a bio-woven tapestry of midnight blue that glimmered like starlight, shifting opacity as she moved. Her posture was rigid, her chin tilted upward, her eyes scanning the crowd with a look that was half boredom, half strategic assessment. To her right walked Sarah. If Leary was the statue, Sarah was the knife. She was slightly shorter, her movements fluid and predatory. She wore less formal attire, a sleek tunic that hinted at concealed weaponry, and her eyes were bright with a terrifying intelligence. She was smiling, a small, sly curvature of purple lips that suggested she knew every secret in the room and found them all terribly amusing. And then there was Kira, the youngest. She did not walk. She prowled. She was on the left, her stance wide, her head pivoting constantly as if she expected an ambush, or hoped for one. Her hair was a shock of braided, bioluminescent cords that trailed behind her like the tail of a comet, glowing with a fierce amber heat. While her sisters looked like royalty, Kira looked like a loaded weapon left on a table. The human delegates bowed, It was a clumsy, disjointed motion. Noah watched from the sidelines, wincing as the lead trade envoy, a man named Henderson, stepped forward and stammered out a greeting in High Galactic. Henderson butchered the tonal inflection. He had just complimented their livestock instead of their lineage. Sarah's smile widened. Leary did not blink. The air grew heavy. The tension was a physical weight, pressing down on Noah's chest. He could see the sweat beading on Henderson's forehead. The rumors were true. This was not just a meeting. This was a trial. The sisters were not here to negotiate. They were here to judge. Noah looked at his colleague, a junior archivist named Miller, who was shaking so hard his datapad was vibrating. The silence stretched out, agonizing and long. The aliens were waiting for a correction, and the humans were too paralyzed to offer one. Noah felt the urge to do something, anything, to break the suffocating dread. He leaned slightly toward Miller, keeping his voice low, intending only for the human to hear. He wanted to lighten the mood, to say something ridiculous to snap Miller out of his panic. He muttered, in a dry, half-joking tone, "Look, I am single. I will volunteer for the cultural exchange if they eat Henderson." He thought he had whispered. He thought the noise of the bazaar would swallow his idiocy. He was wrong. The sisters were wearing personal translation fields, high-grade military tech that could pick up a whisper across a crowded hangar. Noah saw the air shimmer around Leary's crest crown. His words were not just heard. They were captured, amplified, and rebroadcast in the sisters' native tongue. The translation was not literal. It stripped away the sarcasm. It stripped away the humor. It presented the statement as a raw, factual declaration. I am unbound. I offer myself. The ambient noise of the bazaar dropped to absolute zero. The holographic advertisement seemed to freeze. In one swift, synchronized motion that defied human reaction times, the sisters moved. It happened so fast Noah's brain could not process the telemetry. 1 second they were 10 meters away, standing on the ceremonial dais. The next, they were on him. Leary and Sarah stepped forward in a blur of motion, flanking him instantly. Kira darted in from the side, moving like a striking viper. Noah gasped as 3 pairs of hands seized his arms. The touch was shocking, cool, firm, and buzzing with a faint electric current that shot through the fabric of his cheap uniform and made the hair on his arms stand up. Leary gripped his right bicep with fingers that felt like steel wrapped in silk. Sarah took his left, her fingers digging in with possessive sharpness. Kira grabbed his wrist, her thumb pressing against his pulse point as if checking his vitals. They stood in a tight triangle around him, cutting him off from the world. The scent of them was overwhelming now. Ozone, crushed petals, and something sharper, like cold iron. Leary raised her head. Her crest crown flared with blinding white light, amplifying her voice so it boomed across the entire sector. "Witnessed," she declared. The tone was not a question. It was a gavel striking a sounding block. The human has declared himself unbound. We claim him. The silence held for 1 heartbeat, 2. Then, the bazaar erupted. Gasps echoed from 1,000 throats. A collective shriek of shock rose from the human delegation. Hundreds of data recording drones buzzed out of the rafters like angry hornets, their red recording eyes fixing on Noah. Noah stood frozen. His eyes were wide, his heart hammering against his ribs like a trapped bird. He could feel the blood draining from his face, leaving him cold and lightheaded. He tried to tug his arm free from Leary's grip, but she was immovable. It was like trying to pull away from a hydraulic clamp. Noah stammered, his voice cracking. He looked at Henderson, who was staring at him with a mixture of horror and awe. He looked at the sisters, who were regarding him with intense, terrifying focus. He looked at the crowd, at the sea of recording devices broadcasting his face to the entire station, perhaps the entire sector. I joked. Noah said, the words tumbling out in a breathless rush. I joked. I am single, and the 3 alien sisters grabbed my arms instantly. He said it in disbelief, narrating his own nightmare. This is a mistake, Noah said, louder this time. I was making a joke. Embassy guards rushed forward. The human security team, clad in blue armor, collided with the sisters' personal guard, a terrifying squad of masked warriors in shifting camouflage. Shouting matches erupted, weapons were drawn, plasma rifles humming to life, kinetic blades snapping open. Let him go, a human guard shouted. Touch him and you die. A masked alien warrior hissed back, the translator making the voice sound like grinding rocks. Noah felt the grip on his arms tighten. The sisters did not flinch at the weapons. They did not even look at the guards. They were looking at him. Sarah leaned in, her face inches from his. Her eyes were dancing with delight. He is trembling, she observed, her voice a purr that vibrated in his chest. Is that fear, human, or anticipation? Kira squeezed his wrist. His heart rate is elevated, 120 beats per minute. He is healthy. Leary ignored them both. She looked straight into Noah's eyes, and for a second, the chaos of the bazaar faded. Her gaze was intense, ancient, and utterly unyielding. You spoke the words, she said. The contract is initiated. A government liaison, a man Noah knew only as Mr. Vane, pushed through the security line. He looked as if he was having a cardiac event. You, Vane hissed, pointing a shaking finger at Noah. Do you have any idea what you have done? You have triggered the right of the open heart. I do not even know what that is, Noah yelled back, panic finally overriding his shock. I am an engineer. I fix toilets and translators. You just proposed to the heir apparent of the hegemony. Vane screamed. The sisters began to move, dragging Noah with them. They did not walk. They swept him along. He stumbled, his boots skidding on the deck plates, but they held him upright with effortless strength. They were moving toward the embassy annex, a neutral ground structure nearby. We are taking him to the negotiation chamber, Leary announced to the room at large. The terms will be ratified immediately. Wait, Noah shouted, digging his heels in. I did not agree to anything. Silence, husband, Kira said, swatting him lightly on the shoulder. It was a playful hit, but it nearly knocked the wind out of him. They dragged him through the blast doors of the embassy annex. The roar of the bazaar was cut off instantly as the heavy seals locked into place, replaced by the sterile hum of climate control. They brought him to a high-security conference room. It was a stark, white chamber with a polished obsidian table in the center. The sisters deposited him in a chair at the head of the table and then took their places around him. Leary on his right, Sarah on his left, Kira perching on the edge of the table itself, staring down at him. Mr. Vane and Henderson burst in a moment later, followed by the embassy's legal AI, a hovering sphere of blue light that projected a calm, synthesized avatar of a human scholar. Explain, Leary commanded. She gestured to the AI. Tell the human what he has done. The AI floated forward. Its voice was calm, soothing, and completely devoid of empathy. Mr. Noah Thorne, the AI said, in the culture of the hegemony, the concept of courtship as humans understand it does not exist. Romance is a matter of statecraft and precise legal language. To publicly declare one's availability, specifically using the phrase "I am single" or "unbound" in the presence of royalty, within a designated negotiation zone, is not a statement of fact. It is a procedural move. Noah stared at the glowing blue sphere. A move. It is a formal petition. The AI continued. You have invoked the ancient rites. You have publicly offered your heart and lineage to the crown. By grasping your arms, the High Daughters have accepted the petition. You are now technically betrothed. Noah looked at the sisters. They were watching him with the patience of predators waiting for a wounded animal to stop thrashing. This is insanity, Noah said. He stood up, pacing the small space behind his chair, waving his hand. It was a joke. A joke. Do you understand humor? Sarcasm? I was trying to make Miller laugh because he looked like he was going to vomit. Sarah threw her head back and laughed. It was a musical, terrifying sound. Look at him. Leary. He flails like a hatchling bird. She stood up and mimicked his posture, waving her hands in a crude caricature of human distress. It was a joke. It was a joke, she mocked, pitching her voice high and whiny. I do not sound like that, Noah snapped, offended despite the terror. Kira leaned close, her face entering his personal space. She sniffed him. He smells like copper and anxiety. I like it. Stop smelling me, Noah said, backing away until he hit the wall. Leary remained seated. She placed her hands flat on the table. Enough. The single word silenced the room. Sarah sat down, though she was still grinning. Kira hopped off the table and stood at attention, though she kept her eyes on Noah. Leary turned her chair to face him. The amusement was gone. Her expression was grave, heavy with the weight of empires. Human Noah, she said. Listen to me. The bazaar is a public forum. The declaration was broadcast to the fleet. It was witnessed by the trade guilds. I will issue a retraction, Noah said. I will go back out there right now and say I am an idiot. I will say I mistranslated. You cannot, Leary said softly. To retract a petition of the heart immediately after acceptance is not a mistake. It is a repudiation. It is the gravest insult possible in our law. It implies that we, the daughters of the monarch, were found lacking upon closer inspection. So? Noah asked. So, Leary continued, if you retract this now, you humiliate the hegemony. My mother, the monarch, will have no choice but to sever all diplomatic ties to save face. The trade deal dies today. The alliance dies today. And given the current tensions in the border systems, war will likely follow within the standard week. The room went dead silent. Noah looked at Vane. The liaison was pale, nodding slowly. She is right, Vane whispered. If the deal falls through now, the Hawks in the Senate will push for a preemptive strike. Millions could die. Noah felt the blood rush out of his legs. He sat down heavily. So, I am trapped? He asked. I have to marry you? All three of you? Not marriage. Not yet, Leary said. She reached into the air and manipulated a holographic interface, pulling up a document that glowed with complex alien script. This is a provisional companionship contract, Leary explained. It is a temporary arrangement. It allows for a period of courtship and evaluation. It lasts for one standard solar cycle. 1 year? Noah asked. Leary nodded. If you sign this, you validate the public claim. You save the alliance. You prevent the war. We will simply be exploring the possibility of a union. And if I do not, then you walk out that door, Leary said. And the firing squads begin their work on the border colonies before you reach the elevator. Noah looked at the document. It was a dense wall of text. What does it entail? Noah asked, his voice low. I mean, does it mean? Sarah giggled. He is worried about the betting rights. Noah flushed a deep, violent red. I am worried about my freedom. Leary's expression softened. For the first time, the mask of the imperious princess slipped. Noah looked into her eyes, eyes that were vast, violet, and incredibly old. He saw something there that he recognized. It was not arrogance, it was exhaustion. She looked tired, bone-deep tired. She looked like a woman who had been carrying a mountain on her shoulders since the day she was born, forced into ceremonies and armor and roles she never asked for. "We will not force you into intimacy, Noah," Leary said quietly. "The contract grants us your time, your presence, and your public loyalty. It does not demand your body unless you offer it freely. You will live with us. You will travel with us. You will play the part." Noah looked at the three of them. Kira, the wild card, vibrating with energy. Sarah, the sharp-tongued observer. And Leary, the tired leader trying to keep the galaxy from burning. He was a systems engineer. He fixed things. That was his job. He looked at the broken situation in front of him. A war was about to start because of a bad joke. He was the only component that could bridge the gap. He looked at Vane, who was practically praying. He looked at Henderson. He looked back at Leary. 1 year? Noah asked. 1 year. Leary confirmed. Or until the treaty is ratified permanently by the High Council. Then, we can find a legal way to dissolve the bond quietly, without insult. Noah let out a long, ragged breath. He picked up the stylus. It felt heavy, like lead. "I cannot believe I'm doing this," he muttered. He looked at the glowing field where his signature was required. "Just to be clear," Noah said, glancing at Sarah. "If you try to eat me, the deal is off." Sarah winked. "No promises, husband?" Noah gritted his teeth and signed, "Noah Thorne." The hollow seal flared gold, locking his name into the code of the alien empire. The AI chimed a happy, harmonious tone. Contract validated. The AI announced, status updated, betrothed. Leary stood up. She walked over to him, her movements formal and solemn. Sarah and Kira joined her. They reached out and placed their hands on his shoulders, a heavy ceremonial gesture that felt like a knighting. "Welcome to the family, Noah," Leary said. From the corner of the room, unnoticed by the guards or the diplomats, a small service drone hovered near the ceiling vent. Its red recording light blinked once, capturing the image of the human engineer surrounded by the 3 alien princesses. Far away, in a shadowed room filled with the hum of cooling fans, a figure watched the feed on a private monitor. The figure smiled, but there was no warmth in it. "The trap is set," the figure whispered. "Let the play begin." Noah stood there, the weight of the sister's hands on his shoulders, and grimly realized the truth. "I just became an interstellar fiancé by accident," he said to the empty air. Sarah leaned in close. "Oh, Noah," she whispered. "It is no accident. It is destiny, and it is going to be so much fun." Moving into the royal suite was less like checking into a hotel and more like being swallowed by a benevolent high-tech whale. Noah stood in the center of the main atrium, his duffel bag looking absurdly cheap against the floor. The floor itself was not solid material as he understood it. It was a semi-permeable membrane stretched over a gravity-dampening field, yielding slightly under his boots like moss. The walls were alive, literally. They were composed of bioluminescent moss and woven carbon fiber vines that pulsed with a soft, rhythmic amber light, sinking, Noah realized with a jolt of horror, to his own respiration rate. Hovering orbs of soft light drifted through the air like lazy jellyfish. When Noah felt a spike of anxiety, the orbs turned a soothing cool blue and bobbed closer, humming a low frequency designed to lower his cortisol levels. It was luxurious. It was magnificent. It was terrifying. The last 48 hours had been a blur of bureaucratic processing, medical scans that felt invasive, and a crash course in not offending an entire species. Now, he was living in the belly of the beast, or rather, the belly of the beauties. The culture shock did not hit him all at once. It came in a series of comedic, humiliating waves that chipped away at his dignity one piece at a time. First, there was breakfast. Noah sat at a table grown from the floor itself. He was starving. A service drone floated over and deposited a plate of what looked like shimmering, translucent marbles. They hovered 2 inches above the plate, rotating slowly. "Eat," Leary said. She was reading a holographic scroll, not looking up. Noah picked up a fork. He stabbed at a blue sphere. The sphere dodged. He frowned and stabbed again. The sphere darted left. "It is responsive cuisine," Sarah explained from across the table. She was popping the spheres into her mouth with practiced ease, catching them mid-air like a frog catching flies. "You have to surprise it." "Surprise the soup?" Noah asked. "You are too slow," Kira grunted. She did not use a fork. She simply opened her mouth and inhaled sharply. 3 spheres flew into her mouth in a perfect arc. Noah tried to lunge at a red sphere. It zipped over his shoulder and splattered against the living wall, which absorbed it with a squelching sound. Sarah laughed so hard she choked on a green one. Then came the physical training. "You cannot be the consort of the high lineage if you move like a sack of wet grain," Kira announced. She dragged him to the zero-gravity combat sphere. It was a clear bubble suspended on the station's outer hull, with nothing but stars spinning around them. The gravity was cut. Noah floated, feeling nauseous. "Attack me," Kira ordered. She was upside down, her braided hair floating like a halo of glowing snakes. "I am not going to hit you," Noah said, clutching a handle on the wall. Kira sighed. "Then I will hit you." She launched herself off the far wall. Noah tried to dodge. He flailed his arms, spinning himself into a helpless rotation. Kira breezed past him, tapping his ribs, his kidney, and the back of his neck before he even completed 1 revolution. "Dead. Dead. Dead," she counted off. "Stop spinning," Noah yelled, trying to stabilize himself. "You look like a turtle on its back," Kira observed, drifting serenely above him. "It is cute, in a pathetic way." And finally, the interrogation. Sarah cornered him in the library later that evening. She had a data slate projecting a hologram of his face from the bazaar. It was the moment he had said the fateful line. "Play it again." Sarah commanded the slate. I joked, "I am single." The tiny holographic Noah stammered. Sarah rewound it. I joked, "I am single." She rewound it again. I joked. "Why is the tone so flat?" Sarah asked, her eyes narrowing. "In our language, a declaration of heart is sung. It has cadence. You sounded like you were ordering spare parts." "It is called sarcasm, Sarah," Noah said, rubbing his temples. "It is a human defense mechanism. We say things we do not mean to deflect tension." Sarah tilted her head. "So you lie? For comfort?" "No," Noah said. "Yes, sort of. It is complex." She leaned forward, her violet eyes twinkling. "Is it sarcasm when you say you are fine after Kira bruises your ego? Or is that just pride?" Noah opened his mouth, then closed it. "That is just pride." Sarah smirked. "I am going to enjoy dissecting you, human." But the laughter faded when Leary entered the room. The eldest sister carried an atmosphere of gravity that silenced the floating orbs and stiffened Noah's spine. The bonding sessions were not optional. Leary treated them like mission briefings. She sat Noah down in the central lounge, displaying star charts and political hierarchies. "You must understand," Leary said. her voice cool and professional. There are factions within the Grand Council who view humans as barely sentient. To them, we are dragging a pet into the throne room. You must be impeccable. Noah looked at the map of the galaxy. The human territories were small, a cluster of blue dots surrounded by the vast purple expanse of the hegemony. They think we are barbarians, Noah said. They think you are children, Leary corrected. Dangerous children with nuclear matches. My mother, the monarch, believes your species has potential. That is why she sanctioned the trade treaty. But if you embarrass us, the opposition will use it to strip my family of influence. So I am a prop, Noah said. A very well-dressed prop. You are a representative, Leary said sharply. Do not diminish your role. If you fail, my sisters and I lose our standing. Your worlds lose their protection. She stood up. Come, we must practice the ascendant waltz. It is required for the reception tonight. The gravity in the room lowered by 30%. Leary stepped into his personal space. She was taller than him by 2 inches, radiant in a bodysuit of silver mesh. Place your hand on my waist, she instructed. Noah hesitated. He reached out, his hand hovering over the curve of her hip. The bio-fabric she wore was warm. When he made contact, he felt a faint hum against his palm. Firmly. Leary chastised, You are claiming me, remember? Do not touch me like you are afraid I will break. Noah tightened his grip. He placed his other hand on her shoulder. Leary's hand came up to rest on his chest, right over his heart. They began to move. It was not like human dancing. There was no counting steps. It was about momentum and drift. They pushed off the floor, spinning together in the low gravity, turning in slow, elegant circles. Noah focused on his feet, terrified of stepping on her toes. Look at me, Leary whispered. Noah looked up. They were floating inches apart. The world spun around them, the living walls, the stars outside the viewport, but in the center of the spin, there was stillness. Noah looked into her eyes, up close. The patterns on her skin were mesmerizing, shifting like clouds passing over a moon. He could smell her, a scent like rain on hot stone and something sweet, like night-blooming jasmine. He felt his pulse pounding in his neck. He realized, with a sudden jarring clarity, that her hand on his chest could surely feel it too. The professional distance evaporated. For a second, she was not an alien princess, and he was not a terrified engineer. They were just 2 bodies in close proximity, bound by the physics of the spin. Leary's gaze dropped to his lips, then snapped back to his eyes. Her pupils dilated. The grip on his shoulder tightened, her fingers digging into the muscle. It felt dangerously real. The heat radiating between them was not political. It was visceral. Noah felt a magnetic pull, an urge to lean forward that small, fatal distance and close the gap. Panic surged through him. If he did that, he wasn't just breaking protocol, he was crossing a line he couldn't uncross. He pulled back. He broke the momentum, stumbling as his boots hit the floor. The spin collapsed. Sorry, Noah breathed, stepping back, his face burning. I lost the rhythm. Leary landed softly, her composure returning instantly like a shutter slamming down. She smoothed her silver mesh. Yes, she said, her voice devoid of the warmth that had been there a second ago. You did. We will practice again later. Do not anticipate the turn. Noah, wait for my signal. She turned and walked out of the room. She did not look back. Noah stood there, his heart still racing, feeling like he had just narrowly avoided stepping off a cliff. Later, Noah sought refuge in the observation lounge. It was quiet there, filled with floating holographic sculptures of abstract alien art. He was staring at a sculpture that looked like a burning tree when Sarah materialized beside him. She did not make a sound. "You like the lament of the void?" she asked. "Is that what this is?" Noah asked. "It looks angry. It is passion without outlet," Sarah said. "It burns itself out." She hopped up onto a plinth, swinging her legs. "I saw you with Leary," she said. Noah stiffened. "We were practicing." Sarah hummed, a low, vibrating sound. "You look at her like she is a puzzle you want to solve." "She is complex," Noah said diplomatically. "She is burdened," Sarah corrected. "She is the eldest. She has to be the stone that anchors the family. She has never been allowed to just be." Sarah leaned forward, her playful demeanor vanishing. Her face was suddenly sharp, her eyes serious. "Listen to me. Noah, you are a funny little human. You make me laugh. But do not play games with her." "I am not playing games," Noah said defensively. "Our culture is not like yours," Sarah said. "We do not flirt for sport. Political obligations are tied to the blood. If you offer her something, a look, a touch, a promise, and you do not mean it, it destroys more than just feelings. It breaks oaths." Noah looked at her. He realized that beneath the jokes and the memes, Sarah was fiercely protective. "I understand," Noah said softly. Sarah held his gaze for a long moment. Then, the sly smile returned. "Good. Now, tell me what yeet means. I have found 300 conflicting definitions." The reception was a sensory overload. The station's central atrium was a cavernous space capable of holding 5,000 people. Tonight, it was full. Human admirals in dress whites mingled with alien nobles in shifting bio-armor. Waiters floated through the crowd with trays of drinks. Giant holographic banners displayed the intertwined sigils of Earth and the hegemony. Noah stood on the dais, feeling like an imposter in his new, tailored formal wear. It was a high-collared tunic of dark blue silk, embroidered with the same star patterns that marked Leary's skin. A visual claim. He stood between Leary and the monarch's hologram. The speeches were endless. They spoke of the symbol of unity. They spoke of the bridge between worlds. Noah smiled until his face hurt. He shook hands. He bowed. He repeated the 3 phrases of greeting Leary had drilled into him. But as the night wore on, the engineer in him started to take over. He began to watch the machinery of the room, not the people. He noticed things. He saw a human admiral, a man with a scar running through his eyebrow, tap his glass twice in a specific rhythm. Across the room, a severe-looking alien counselor, a being with chitinous plates, nodded once and turned away. It was too synchronized to be a coincidence. Then, Noah saw the flower. It was a large, exotic bloom arranged in a centerpiece near the main podium. It was beautiful. But as a waiter passed by, the flower swiveled. Flowers did not swivel. Noah narrowed his eyes. He focused on the stem. It wasn't organic. It was a fiber optic cable disguised as greenery, a data probe. Someone was recording the private audio of the High Council members standing near the podium. He wanted to tell Leary, but she was surrounded by a phalanx of diplomats, feeling a need for air. Noah slipped away to a side balcony. It was a secluded spot overlooking the gas giant the station orbited. The planet was a swirling storm of orange and bruised purple, vast and silent. He gripped the railing, exhaling a breath he felt like he had been holding for hours. It is overwhelming, isn't it? Noah turned. Leary was standing in the archway. She looked exhausted. The light from the gas giant cast long shadows across her face, highlighting the sharp angles of her cheekbones. I am just not used to being the center of attention. Noah admitted. I am usually the guy in the maintenance crawl space. Leary moved to stand beside him. She did not touch him, but her presence was a comfort. My mother calls this the theater of lies, Leary murmured, looking out at the planet. Everyone in that room is smiling, and half of them are calculating how to stick a knife in our backs. Noah looked at her profile. You really think the treaty will fail? If it does, Leary said, her voice devoid of emotion. The fleets are already positioned. We have run the simulations, total war within 6 months. Earth will be glassed. My people will fracture into civil war. She turned to him. That is why your accidental contract is so important. You are a distraction, a story. People love a romance. It makes them forget they hate each other. Is that all I am? Noah asked quietly. A distraction? Leary looked at him. Her eyes searched his face. No, she said softly. You are surprisingly adequate. Noah laughed, a dry, short sound, high praise from royalty. Leary's lips twitched, a ghost of a smile. Why did you volunteer? Leary asked. That night at the bazaar. Before the joke, you were trying to help your friend. Noah shrugged. I do not know. I guess I just hate seeing people bullied. He looked out at the stars, my family. They are all lawyers and politicians back on Earth. They talk in circles. They manipulate. When I said I wanted to build things, to fix actual problems, they laughed. They said I was wasting my potential. So I came out here, to the edge, where things are simple. If a pipe bursts, you fix it. You do not debate the pipe. Leary was silent for a long time. I have never fixed a pipe, she said. My life has been debated since I was an embryo. She looked down at her hands. I sometimes wonder what it would be like to be unimportant, to belong only to myself. Noah looked at her. He saw the loneliness radiating off her like heat. It mirrored his own, the feeling of being an alien in your own home. You belong to yourself. Leary, Noah said firmly. Contract or no contract, you are still you. Leary looked up, her eyes wide. She seemed about to say something real, when the moment was shattered. Well, look at this, a secret rendezvous. Kira vaulted over the railing from the balcony above, landing lightly between them. She was grinning, her bioluminescent hair flaring with excitement. Kira. Leary sighed, the mask sliding back into place. You are supposed to be on perimeter watch. I got bored, Kira said, and I wanted to see if the human has a spine yet. She turned to Noah, her expression shifting into something predatory and playful. She stepped close, invading his personal space. You know, she purred, tracing a finger along the line of his jaw. The contract says you are bound to the lineage. Technically, that means me too. She pressed closer. Noah backed up against the railing. Kira placed her hands on either side of him, trapping him. Maybe I should test you, she whispered, her face inches from his. See if you are worthy of the bloodline. It was a test. Noah could see it in her eyes. She was pushing him, seeing if he would crumble, if he would flirt back, if he would play the game. Sarah appeared in the doorway, leaning against the frame, watching with amused concern. Noah felt a flash of anger, not at Kira, but at the situation, at being treated like a curiosity, a pet. He reached up and took Kira's wrists. He didn't squeeze, but he held them firm. He moved her hands away from his face. Stop, Noah said. His voice was not loud, but it was hard. Kira blinked, surprised. I am playing my part, Noah said, looking from Kira to Leary. I am wearing the clothes. I am saying the words. I am saving your treaty. He let go of Kira's wrists and straightened his tunic. But I am not a toy. I am not a trophy to be passed around or tested. I am a person. If you want my help, you treat me with respect. Do not touch me like you own me. Silence descended on the balcony. The wind from the ventilation systems whistled softly. Kira stepped back, her mouth slightly open. She looked at Noah with a new expression. It wasn't mockery. It was surprise. Sarah's eyebrows shot up. She nodded slowly, an appreciative glint in her eyes. Leary stood perfectly still. She watched Noah, her face unreadable. I apologize, Kira mumbled, looking down. Noah let out a breath. Apology accepted. He walked past them toward the door. I am going to get a drink, a real one. As he passed Leary, she did not move, but her eyes followed him. She felt a strange twisting in her chest. It was pride. He had the strength of a king, but it was also a sting. His words had been a mirror, showing her exactly how they had been using him. He demanded to be seen, and for the first time, she truly saw him. Noah walked down the corridor, his hands shaking slightly. He had just scolded a warrior princess. He was either brave or suicidal. He pulled out his data tablet to check the time. The screen was black. Then, it flashed red. A message appeared. It was not from the embassy. It was anonymous. A schematic appeared on the screen. It was a complex diagram of the station's main power couplings, the fusion reactors that kept the station from falling into the gas giant. Superimposed over the reactor was a pulsing red icon, a bomb. Below the image, a message scrolled in jagged alien script. Your contract will start a war. Choose your side before it explodes. Noah stopped in the middle of the hallway. The sounds of the party drifted from the atrium, laughter, music, the clinking of glass. He looked at the tablet. He looked at the schematic. The game was over. The war had already begun. The station died. It did not power down gracefully. It did not dim. It slammed into darkness with the violence of a heart attack. The hum of the atmospheric recyclers cut out, leaving a ringing silence that lasted for exactly 1 second before the emergency klaxons began to shriek. Red strobe lights flared in the corridor, turning the panicked crowd into a staccato nightmare of frozen screams and terrified motion. Noah did not freeze. The engineer in him took over before his conscious mind could process the terror. He shoved the data tablet into his pocket, his mind racing through the schematic he had just seen. The bomb was in the primary fusion coupling, Sector 9. If that coupling blew, the magnetic bottle holding the artificial sun in the station's core would shatter. The station would not just explode, it would be vaporized. "Run!" Noah shouted, grabbing Leary's arm. He did not need to tell her twice. The sisters were already moving, their warrior training overriding their diplomatic veneer. "Which way?" Leary demanded, her voice cutting through the wail of the sirens. "Engineering deck." "Sector 9!" Noah yelled. "We have 4 minutes before the thermal runaway hits critical mass." They took off sprinting. The corridors were choked with people, humans and aliens alike trampling each other in a blind panic. Sarah tapped the side of her temple, her eyes glowing with a faint blue light as she engaged her neural implant. "I am accessing the station grid." Sarah shouted over the noise. "Elevators are dead. Blast doors are sealing everywhere. I am overriding the localized locks, but the main trunk is fighting me." "We take the service ladders," Noah directed. He banked hard around a corner, nearly colliding with a terrified, chaotic neutral merchant carrying a cage of screaming lizards. They reached a heavy maintenance bulkhead. It was sealed tight, the locking mechanism glowing an angry red. "Sarah," Noah yelled. "Working on it." Sarah hissed, her fingers twitching in the air as she manipulated invisible code. It is hard encrypted. I need 20 seconds. We do not have 20 seconds, Noah shouted. Kira stepped forward. Move. She did not wait for them to clear the area. She jammed her fingers into the seamless crack between the blast doors. Her bioluminescent hair flared from a soft amber to a blinding white-hot gold. The muscles in her arms corded, visible even through her tunic. With a primal grunt that sounded like tearing metal, Kira heaved. The screech of tortured alloy drowned out the alarms. The heavy steel doors groaned, buckled, and then slid open, sparks showering down on her shoulders. Noah stared at her for a fraction of a second. That door weighed 2 tons. Go! Kira roared, holding the doors open with her body. They scrambled through, diving into the vertical maintenance shaft. Noah slid down the ladder, his gloves burning from the friction. The sisters dropped past him, using gravity assist boots to fall with controlled precision. They hit the deck of Sector 9. The heat here was oppressive. Steam vented from ruptured coolant lines, filling the air with a thick white fog that smelled of sulfur and ozone. There, Noah pointed to the main coupling housing. It was a massive cylinder of pulsating machinery, usually humming with a steady blue rhythm. Now, it was thrashing, vibrating so hard the floor plates rattled. A small alien device, the bomb, was clamped onto the regulator valve, pulsing with a chaotic purple light. It is a logic virus bomb, Noah realized as he got closer. It is not an explosive. It is overriding the safety protocols to force a meltdown. He threw himself at the control panel. It was locked out. Sarah, get me root access, Noah screamed, his fingers flying across the manual override keys. I am trying, Sarah yelled back. She was pressed against a wall terminal, sweat beading on her forehead. The code is shifting. It is adapting to my hacks. Noah looked at the coupling. The vibration was getting worse. A bolt popped loose and shot past his head like a bullet. Leary, keep the security drones off us, Noah ordered. Leary drew a collapsible energy staff from her belt. 2 station security drones, corrupted by the same virus, drifted out of the steam, their targeting lasers sweeping the room. Leary moved in a blur. She spun the staff, deflecting a plasma bolt that would have taken Noah's head off. She vaulted off a pipe, shattering the first drone with a precise strike to its sensor array. Noah ripped the cover off the manual junction box. He did not have tools. He had desperation. He grabbed a loose bundle of fiber optic cables and yanked them free, sparking a small fire. Warning. The station computer droned, its voice warped and slow. Magnetic containment failure in 30 seconds. I need to bypass the regulator physically, Noah yelled. He reached for the emergency cutoff wheel. It was red hot. He hesitated. Kira's hand slammed over his. She gripped the scorching metal wheel without flinching, her skin sizzling. Turn it, she commanded, her face contorted with effort. Together, they heaved. The wheel groaned. It would not budge. Kira roared, channeling every ounce of her enhanced strength into the motion. Noah pushed until he felt something pop in his shoulder. With a screech of metal on metal, the wheel turned. The steam vented violently, blasting them both backward. Noah hit the deck hard, sliding across the grating. The vibration stopped. The chaotic purple light on the bomb faded. The hum of the reactor dropped from a scream to a steady, sullen idle. Containment stabilized. The computer announced. Noah lay on his back, gasping for air. He looked over at Kira. She was shaking her hand, blowing on the angry red burns across her palm. She looked up at him and grinned, a fierce, wild expression. You are loud when you work, husband, she said. Before Noah could answer, the blast doors blew open. This time, it was not Kira. It was a squad of human Marines and alien station security. "Hands! Let me see your hands!" The lead Marine shouted, leveling a rifle at Noah. Noah raised his hands. "We just saved the station. Look at the coupling." The Marine ignored him. He looked at the smoking junction box Noah had ripped open. He looked at the bypassed safety protocols. "Command. We have the saboteurs," the Marine said into his comms. "It is the human engineer." He was tearing out the safety lines. "What?" Noah yelled, scrambling to his knees. "No! There was a bomb! Look!" He pointed to the regulator. The alien device was gone. Noah blinked. It had been there 10 seconds ago. "It dissolved," Sarah whispered, staring at the empty metal. "Nanotech. It ate itself once the job was failed." Noah looked around. The evidence was gone. All that remained was a destroyed junction box with his fingerprints on it, and a station log that would show him hacking the system. "It is a frame-up," Noah said, his stomach dropping. "Security team, escort the targets to the diplomatic dock immediately." A voice crackled over the PA system. "Get them off this station before the mob tears them apart." Noah was hauled to his feet. He looked at Leary. She was standing tall, her staff already retracted, her face a mask of icy calm. But her eyes were darting around the room, calculating, assessing. "Do not resist," Leary said softly to Noah. "Not here." They were marched out of engineering like criminals. The journey to the docks was a blur of noise and light. The news feeds were already running the story. Holographic screens in the hallways flashed images of Noah's face with headlines like "Human Incompetence Threatens Sector" and "Royal Consort Sabotages Peace." Protesters were lined up behind force barriers at the spaceport entrance. Some were humans, shouting that Noah was being scapegoated. Some were aliens, screaming that the barbarians had tried to kill them all. "Traitor!" someone screamed. "Hero!" someone else yelled. Noah kept his head down, shielded by the sisters. Kira walked backward, growling at anyone who got too close. Leary kept a hand on Noah's back, guiding him, her grip firm and reassuring. They reached the airlock. The sisters' ship, the Void Dancer, was docked there. It was a masterpiece of naval engineering, a sleek silver dart that looked more grown than built. They were shoved inside. The airlock hissed shut, cutting off the noise of the angry galaxy. "Take us out," Leary ordered the moment her boots hit the deck. "But the flight plan," the pilot began. "Override it," Leary snapped. "We are leaving. Now!" The ship shuddered as it disconnected. Noah felt the lurch of artificial gravity taking hold. He slumped against the bulkhead, sliding down until he was sitting on the floor. He was safe, but he did not feel safe. He felt like a piece of evidence being moved from one crime scene to another. "Welcome aboard." "Noah," Sarah said quietly. She offered him a hand. Noah looked at her hand. He didn't take it. "I want to go home," he said. Sarah's smile was sad. "I know, but I do not think anyone knows where home is anymore." The Void Dancer was not designed for humans. The ceilings were too high, the lighting too dim, and the air vibrated with a constant low-frequency hum that made Noah's teeth ache. He was given a cabin in the guest wing. It was luxurious, with silk tapestries and a viewport that looked out into the streak of hyperspace. But the door locked from the outside. He was a prisoner, a very expensive, well-fed prisoner. Noah paced the room. He had been pacing for 3 hours. The ship's artificial cycle had shifted to night mode, dimming the biolights to a soft, pulsating indigo. He couldn't sleep. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw the red schematic of the bomb and the empty space where it had been. Someone had tried to kill thousands of people just to make him look bad. The door chimed. "Enter," Noah said, stopping his pacing. The door slid open. Leary stood there, stood. She had changed out of her diplomatic armor into a simple robe of shifting gray fabric. She looked smaller without the shoulder pads and the crest crown. She looked human. "I came to check on you," she said, stepping inside. The door slid shut behind her. "Check on the prisoner," Noah asked bitterly. "Check on the partner," Leary corrected. She walked over to the viewport, staring out at the warping stars. "Some partner," Noah said. "I am the scapegoat. You know that, right? I am the clumsy human who almost blew up the station." "We know it was sabotage," Leary said. "Does it matter?" Noah asked. "The news feeds have already convicted me. My career is over, my reputation is ash. And for what? So your mother can get a few more trade concessions?" Leary spun around. Her eyes flared. "Do not speak of my mother like that. You think this is about trade tariffs?" "I think I am a pawn," Noah shouted. "I think you plucked me out of a crowd because I was convenient, and now I am expendable." "You are not expendable." Leary stepped closer, her voice rising to match his. "You are vital. Do you think I enjoy this? Do you think I want to drag an innocent man into a war zone?" "Then let me go," Noah demanded. "Drop me at the nearest neutral outpost. Let me disappear. I cannot," Leary yelled. "If you leave, the Alliance shatters. If the Alliance shatters, the fleets launch. Billions die. Noah, billions, including your family." She was standing right in front of him now, breathing hard. Her composure was gone. The regal mask lay in pieces on the floor. Noah looked at her. He saw the fear in her eyes. It was a terrifyingly vast fear, the fear of a woman responsible for entire worlds. "I never asked for this," Noah said, his voice dropping to a whisper. "I just wanted to tell a joke." "I never asked for it either," Leary whispered back. "I never asked to be the heir. I never asked to be the symbol." They stared at each other. The anger in the room didn't dissipate. It transmuted. The high adrenaline fury twisted, curdled, and suddenly became something else entirely. The air seemed to thicken. The ship's vibration felt like it was syncing with Noah's heartbeat. Leary took a half step forward. She looked up at him. Her eyes searched his face, tracing the line of his jaw, the scar on his chin, his lips. Noah felt a magnetic pull so strong it almost knocked him over. It wasn't just physical attraction. It was a desperate, clawing need to bridge the gap between them, to find anchor in the storm. He watched her throat work as she swallowed. He saw the pulse fluttering in her neck. If he leaned in, just 3 inches, he would kiss her. He knew, with absolute certainty, that she would kiss him back. He could feel the heat radiating from her skin. He wanted to. God, he wanted to. He wanted to forget the bomb and the politics and the lies. He wanted to lose himself in the violet depth of her eyes. He raised his hand. His fingers brushed her wrist. Her skin was incredibly soft. Leary shuddered at the touch. Her breath hitched, her eyes half closed, her lips parting slightly. "Noah." She breathed. The sound of his name on her lips was like a command and a plea all at once. Noah leaned in. He could feel her breath on his face. "Stop." Leary pulled back. It was a violent motion, like ripping a bandage off. She turned away, wrapping her arms around herself. "We cannot," she said, her voice rough and trembling, and Noah stood there, his hands still suspended in the air. He felt cold. "Why?" he asked. "Because," Leary said, not looking at him. If we let desire decide our path, we are no better than them. We cannot be selfish. Not now." Noah dropped his hand. She was right. He hated that she was right. The restraint hung between them, heavy and painful. It was a physical ache in his chest. "I should go," Leary said. She walked to the door. She paused, her hand on the panel. Get some sleep. Noah, tomorrow will be worse. She left. Noah sank onto the bed. He stared at the ceiling. He felt hollowed out. 10 minutes later, the door chimed again. If you are coming back to tell me to sleep. I can't, Noah said. It was not Leary. It was Sarah and Kira. We are not here to tuck you in, Kira said. She was holding a data pad. She looked grim. Sarah locked the door behind them. She engaged a privacy scrambler. We found something, Sarah said. While I was in the station grid, I downloaded the encrypted logs from the communication buoy. She threw the data pad onto the bed next to Noah. Read it, she said. Noah picked it up. It was a transcript of a conversation. One participant was a high general of the Human Defense Force. The other was a radical lord of the alien opposition. He scanned the text. His blood ran cold. The bizarre incident must be staged perfectly. If the human male invokes the right of the open heart, the legal precedent is set. Agreed. Once the union is consummated or ratified by treaty, the annexation clause is triggered. The human border worlds become the dowry. We take them legally. No shots fired. And the human? He is a useful idiot. Once the papers are signed, dispose of him. A tragic accident. Noah dropped the pad. It was all a setup, he whispered. The joke, the reaction. You didn't grab me because you liked me. You grabbed me because... No, Sarah interrupted sharply. We did not know. We were reacting to the law. We were played. Noah, just like you. They want you to marry Leary, Kira said, her voice low and dangerous. Because under ancient law, if a commoner marries the heir, his lands become her lands. They are using you to steal 5-star systems. Noah ran a hand through his hair. This is insane. I am a systems engineer. I don't own 5-star systems. You represent them, Sarah said. In the eyes of the old law, you are the proxy for your tribe. Noah stood up. He felt sick. So if I marry her, humanity loses. If I leave her, war starts. Yes, Sarah said. And if I stay? Noah asked. You die, Kira said bluntly. Once the treaty is signed, they kill you to seal the deal. The room was silent. There is something else, Sarah said. She looked uncomfortable. She glanced at Kira. What? Noah asked. When you and Leary were arguing, Sarah said, just now. How did you know we were arguing? Noah asked. The room is soundproof. Sarah sighed. She sat down on the edge of the desk. It is the bloodline, she said, the royal triad. We are not just sisters. We are linked. Linked how? Empathically, Kira said. When one of us touches a bonded mate, the others feel the resonance. Noah stared at them. You mean? We felt it, Sarah said, her cheeks turning a faint shade of lavender. We felt your anger. We felt your confusion. She looked him in the eye, and we felt your desire. Noah. We felt how much you wanted to kiss her. It was loud. Noah buried his face in his hands. This was a nightmare, a literal nightmare. You felt that? He groaned. Every spike of adrenaline, Kira said, looking strangely fascinated. Every heartbeat. You run hot, human. This is violating, Noah said, looking up. My feelings are private. Not anymore, Sarah said gently. Not if you are one of us. Noah looked at them. He saw the flush on their faces. He realized with a jolt that it went both ways. Wait, he said. If you felt me. Did you feel her? Sarah looked away. Yes. And she wants you just as much. Kira said. Maybe more. She is just better at hiding it. Noah sat in silence. The revelation was terrifying. but it was also clarifying. The intense reactions from Sarah and Kira, the teasing, the protectiveness. It wasn't just them. They were feeding off the feedback loop of the bond. So we are all in this tangled mess together. Noah said, yes. Sarah said, great. Noah said, just great. Later, unable to handle the small room, Noah wandered up to the observation dome. Leary was there. Of course she was. She was standing under the transparent canopy, bathed in the light of a passing nebula. The colors of the gas cloud, teal, magenta, gold, reflected on her skin, making her look like a celestial being. Noah walked up to her. He didn't touch her. He stayed a respectful 3 feet away. Sarah told me, Noah said. About the annexation plot. Leary nodded slowly. She did not look surprised. She suspected. She also told me about the bond, Noah added. Leary stiffened. She turned to look at him. Her eyes were guarded. I apologize, she said stiffly. It is an intrusion. I tried to block it. You didn't block it well enough, Noah said softly. Leary looked down. No, I did not. She looked back at the nebula. Do you know what I envy most about your species? She asked. Pizza? Noah asked. Leary smiled. A fleeting thing? No. Choice. You love who you want. You leave when you want. Your laws are written on paper, not in your blood. She traced a pattern on the glass. I have been betrothed since birth to the concept of the empire, she said. I have never chosen anything. Not my clothes, not my words, not my future. She looked at Noah. When you grabbed my arm in the bazaar, she said, it was the first time anything unexpected has ever happened to me. Noah looked at her. He saw the person beneath the princess, the lonely, trapped woman who just wanted to be real. The words rose in his throat. I would choose you. He wanted to say it. He wanted to tell her that contract or no contract, plot or no plot, he was falling for her, that he would stand by her against the generals and the lords and the galaxy itself. But he couldn't. If he said it, he played right into the conspirators' hands. If he confessed love, he made the annexation easier. He made his own death easier. He swallowed the words. They tasted like ash. I am not going anywhere. Leary, he said instead, we will figure this out. Leary looked at him. She heard the words he didn't say. She nodded. Suddenly, the ship banked hard. The stars shifted violently in the viewport. The intercom crackled. Hi, lady. The pilot's voice was tense. We have received a priority override code. From whom? Leary demanded, tapping her comms badge. From the capital, the pilot said. It is the Monarch. We are being rerouted. We are not going to the safe house. We are ordered to return to the Imperial Palace immediately. Leary went pale. It is a trap, she whispered. They know we survived the bomb. They are bringing us home to finish the job. Can we refuse? Noah asked. No, Leary said, watching the navigation computer lock in the new coordinates. If we refuse, they will label us rogue and shoot us down. She looked at Noah. We are going into the Viper's nest. Noah. Noah looked at the swirling stars. He felt the phantom pressure of the sister's hands on his shoulders. Then let's make sure we have good boots, Noah said grimly. Because we are going to be doing a lot of stomping. The ship surged forward, jumping into hyperspace, carrying them toward the heart of the conspiracy. The capital station was not built, it was grown. It hung in the void like a gargantuan calcified reef wrapped around the throat of a dying blue star. The structure was a bioluminescent nightmare of beauty, a spiraling lattice of bone-white spires and throbbing organic membranes that fed directly on the stellar radiation. as the Void Dancer initiated its docking sequence. Noah pressed his hand against the cold viewport, watching the blue light wash over his face. This was the heart of the hegemony. It looked less like a seat of government and more like the inside of a massive ancient lung. The airlock cycled with a wet, organic hiss. Noah stepped out onto the docking ring, flanked by Leary, Sarah, and Kira. The atmosphere here was heavier, richer in oxygen, and smelled faintly of ozone and crushed herbs. The corridor that stretched before them was lined with ancestral carvings, faces of past monarchs etched into the living walls. As Larry passed them, the carvings flared with a soft, reverent violet light, acknowledging her genetic signature. When Noah walked past, the walls remained dark, a silent testament to his status as an outsider. "We are walking into a mouth," Noah murmured, adjusting the stiff collar of his formal tunic. "Do not let them see you flinch," Leary said. Her voice was steel, but Noah saw the tremor in her hands before she clasped them behind her back. They were escorted by the royal guard, towering warriors in carapace armor who did not speak, to the grand hall. The scale of the room was oppressive. The ceiling vaulted up into darkness, lost in shadows, while the floor was a polished mirror of obsidian that reflected the blue star outside. In the center of the room, a hollow emitter hummed. It projected a figure 10 meters tall. The monarch. She was terrifying. Her image was crisp and blue, a woman of severe, angular beauty who looked like Leary, stripped of all mercy. She sat on a virtual throne, her eyes glowing with the data streams of an entire empire. "Mother," Leary said, bowing low. Sarah and Kira followed suit. Noah stood awkward and stiff, offering a clumsy bow that felt inadequate. The monarch did not look at her daughters, her gargantuan gaze fixed solely on Noah. It was not a look of curiosity. It was the look a carpenter gives a hammer, assessing its weight, its balance, and how hard it could strike. "The asset is intact," the monarch's voice boomed. It vibrated in Noah's chest cavities. "He has a name," Leary said, rising from her bow. "He has a function," the monarch corrected. "The council is convened. Bring him." The hologram flickered and vanished, and the lights in the hall rose, revealing that they were not alone. The shadows at the periphery detached themselves and stepped forward. The council session had begun. Dozens of alien nobles in ornate, flowing robes stood on tiered platforms. Their faces were masks of indifference or hostility. Interspersed among them were human envoys, Ambassador Henderson, Admiral Vance, and others Noah recognized from the news feeds. They looked small and pale in the blue light. A scribe, a creature with 4 arms and spectacles, stepped into the center circle and unrolled a scroll of hard light. "The proposal for the eternal union," the scribe announced. His voice was thin and reedy. Noah listened as the legal language washed over him. At first, it sounded like standard diplomatic boilerplate: cooperation, resource sharing, cultural exchange. But then the terms became specific. "In accordance with the ancient rights of the consort, the territory of the unbound male shall be considered the dowry of the union. Jurisdiction over the sole border system shall transfer to the monarch's lineage for the duration of the biological bond. Human fleets in these sectors will be integrated into the hegemony command structure for peacekeeping purposes." Noah felt the blood drain from his face. He looked at Leary. She was staring straight ahead, her jaw locked so tight a muscle feathered in her cheek. They were not asking for an alliance. They were legalizing an occupation. If Noah signed this, if he accepted the eternal union, he was handing over legal authority of 5 human star systems to the monarch. Billions of people would wake up tomorrow as subjects of an alien empire, and their own government would have signed the deed. The scribe finished reading. Silence descended on the hall. Noah felt physically sick. The room seemed to spin. He looked at Admiral Vance. The human admiral was nodding slowly, a look of grim satisfaction on his face. The monarch's voice returned, echoing from the walls. The human Noah Thorne has petitioned for this union. The contract is prepared. Will he honor his word, or will he insult the crown and invite the consequences? Noah opened his mouth. "Recess!" Leary shouted. Her voice cracked like a whip. "The accused has the right to review the terms." A murmur went through the crowd. The monarch's unseen presence seemed to darken the room. 1 standard hour. The monarch rumbled. Then, the signature, or the fleet launch. The guards ushered them into a side chamber, a waiting room of crystal pillars and nervous pacing. As soon as the doors sealed, Noah spun on Leary. "You knew?" he demanded. "You knew this was the plan?" "I suspected the terms would be harsh," Leary said, her voice tight. "I did not know they would be absolute annexation." "They are stealing my home," Noah shouted, "and they are using my hand to do it." Sarah stepped forward. She held a data slate, her face pale. "It is worse," she said quietly. She projected a series of decrypted files into the air between them. "I kept digging into the communication logs we found on the ship. Look at the timestamps." Noah looked. The messages were between the alien High Council and Human Command. "General Vance," Sarah said, pointing to a human face, "and 3 members of your Senate. They are not victims." "Noah, they are architects." Noah stared at the screen. "Why? Why would they sell out their own people?" "Power," Sarah said. "The treaty guarantees them governorships under the hegemony. They get advanced alien tech, immortality treatments, and absolute rule over their sectors. They are trading freedom for a throne. It is a joint conspiracy." Kira spat, pacing the room like a caged tiger. "Our nobles get the land. Your traitors get the power. And we are the distraction." Noah leaned against a crystal pillar, sliding down until he hit the floor. He put his head in his hands. "If I sign, I enslave my people. If I refuse, I start a war that kills them anyway." "We have to break the board," Leary said. She looked at her sisters. "I will go to the inner circle," Leary said. "There are still nobles who value honor over land. I will remind them that a treaty built on deceit is a curse." "Sarah," Leary continued, "get this data to the independent mediators. If we can prove the human leadership is compromised, the treaty is void under interstellar law." "I will need to get to the transmission spire," Sarah said. "It is on the other side of the station." "I will create a diversion," Kira said. She cracked her knuckles. "I will go to the armory. I will play the reckless youngest daughter. I will scream and throw things and pretend I am accepting the monarch's plan so I can get close to the security grid." "And Noah?" Sarah asked. "Noah stays here," Leary said, "with me. Until we are ready." The sisters moved. Sarah and Kira slipped out through a maintenance hatch. The door clicked shut. Noah and Leary were alone. The silence in the room was heavy, charged with the terror of what was coming. Noah stood up. He walked over to Leary. She was standing by a window that looked out into the internal garden of the station, a jungle of bioluminescent ferns. "You are treating me like a signature again," Noah said. His voice was low, shaking with repressed anger. "I am trying to keep you alive," Leary whispered. "I do not want to just survive," Noah said. "I want to choose. Do you understand that? My whole life, people have told me what I am. A dreamer, a failure, an engineer. Now a husband, a traitor." He stepped closer to her. "When does it end, Leary? When do we stop being what they want us to be?" Leary turned to face him. Her eyes were wet. The bioluminescent patterns on her skin were swirling rapidly, betraying her turmoil. "Do you think I want this?" she asked, her voice breaking. "Do you think I want to be the Empress of Ash?" She took a step toward him, closing the distance. "I have spent 100 years studying law, strategy, and suppression," Leary said. "I have never asked for anything for myself. Not once." She reached out, her hands trembling, and cupped his face. Her skin was cool, but her palms were burning. "And now," she whispered, gazing into his eyes. "Now, for the first time in a century, I actually want something, and I want someone. Not for the throne, not for the alliance, for me." Noah felt his heart hammer against his ribs. The air in the room seemed to vanish. "Leary," he breathed. "I cannot tell where the duty ends and the feeling begins," Leary confessed, her thumbs tracing his cheekbones. "I hate that we met this way. I hate that my claiming you was a legal trap. Because—" She paused, searching his face. "Because if I had met you in a bar, or a library, or on a drifting ship, I would have claimed you anyway." Noah felt the walls of his own resistance crumble. The anger, the fear, the politics. It all fell away. He raised his hands and covered hers, pressing them against his face. He leaned his forehead against hers. Their breaths mingled in the small space between them. "Then listen to me," Noah whispered. "We do not sign their treaty. We do not play their game." He closed his eyes, savoring the contact, the terrifying electric proximity of her. "If we cross this line," Noah said, his voice fierce and quiet, "if we ever become what they say we are, it is because we choose it, both of us. No laws, no contracts, just us." Leary let out a shuddering breath. She leaned into him, her body pressing against his. Noah felt the urge to kiss her. It was an overwhelming gravity well force. He wanted to seal the promise. He wanted to take the one thing the universe was trying to twist and make it pure, but he didn't. And she didn't. They held each other in that microscopic distance. The millimeter of air between their lips charging with enough energy to power a city. The restraint was painful. It was an ache in Noah's chest, a tightness in his throat. But it was also powerful. By not surrendering to the desperation, they were reclaiming their agency. They were proving that their connection was not a byproduct of the situation. It was theirs. "I choose you," Leary whispered. "I choose you." Noah answered. The moment stretched, infinite and fragile. Then, the world exploded. A concussive boom rocked the station. The floor heaved violently upward, throwing them apart. Noah slammed into the crystal pillar, sliding to the ground as the lights flickered and died, replaced by the screaming red of emergency strobes. Smoke poured into the room from the ventilation shafts. It smelled of burning plastic and sweet, charred meat. "Leary," Noah shouted, coughing. "I am here," Leary called out. She was already on her feet, her warrior instincts overriding the shock. Her comms bead crackled. "Blast! Near the armory. Trap!" It was Kira. Her voice was weak, distorted by static. "Kira!" Leary screamed into her wrist comp. "Kira! Report!" The signal cut to a dead hiss. They moved. There was no discussion. Noah grabbed a heavy pry bar from a wall mount. Leary drew a hidden energy blade from her sleeve. They sprinted out of the chamber into the corridor. It was chaos. Alien courtiers were running in circles, trampling each other. Drones sparked and spun out of control, firing random suppression beams. "This way!" Noah yelled. He knew the schematics of the station better than the residents did. He had memorized them on the ship. "The armory is 3 levels down." They scrambled down emergency stairwells, leaping over debris. The smoke grew thicker, an acrid, blinding fog. They reached the armory level. The blast doors had been blown off their hinges. The hallway was a ruin of twisted metal and shattered biotech. "Kira!" Noah yelled. "Over here!" It was Sarah's voice. They found them near a collapsed support strut. Sarah was kneeling on the floor, her hands glowing with healing light as she pressed them against Kira's side. Kira was pinned. A massive section of the living ceiling had fallen, trapping her legs. Her armor was shattered, and purple blood was pooling on the deck. Noah dropped to his knees beside them. He jammed the pry bar under the debris. "On 3, he grunted. Leary grabbed the bar beside him. Sarah kept the healing field active. 1, 2, 3. Noah and Leary heaved. The debris groaned and lifted 6 inches. Kira gritted her teeth and dragged herself free, leaving a trail of blood. Noah let the debris slam back down. He fell back, panting. "You are alive," Leary breathed, gripping Kira's hand. "They tried to kill me." Kira gasped. Her face was gray, but her eyes were burning with rage. "I found a hidden chamber behind the armory." She coughed, wincing in pain. "Human generals and the Monarch's Shadow Council. They were finalizing the takeover plan. They saw me. They rigged the power conduit to blow. They tried to bury you to hide the evidence." Noah realized. Sarah looked up. Her face was grim. "It is worse," she said. "I intercepted the security chatter. They are not reporting an accident. They are reporting a terrorist attack." She looked at Noah. "They are saying you did it, Noah. They are saying the human consort rejected the treaty and detonated a bomb in the royal wing." Leary stood up. Her expression was terrifying. "They are trying to execute us," she said. "If we are terrorists, they do not need a trial. They can kill us on sight." "We are cornered," Noah said. "We cannot get to the docks. We cannot get to the transmission spire." Kira laughed, a wet, painful sound. "Then we go to the wedding." She wheezed. Noah looked at her. "What?" "The ceremony," Kira said. "The submission. It is starting in 20 minutes. Everyone will be there. The monarch, the generals, the cameras. If we run, we die," Kira said. "If we hide, we die. But if we walk onto that stage, if we walk onto that stage." Leary finished, the realization dawning on her. They cannot kill us. Not with the whole galaxy watching. Noah understood. It was a suicide play, or a masterstroke. "We pretend to submit," Noah said. "We walk in there, beaten and bowed. We let them think they have won. We lure all the conspirators into the open." "And then?" Sarah asked. "And then we blow the truth up in their faces." Noah said. It was a desperate plan. It relied on timing, luck, and the assumption that they wouldn't be shot before they reached the podium. "Can you walk?" Noah asked Kira. Kira grabbed her spear, using it as a crutch. She stood up, swaying slightly, blood dripping from her armor. "Try to stop me, husband," she snarled. Leary turned to Noah. She holstered her blade. She reached out and took his hand. "This is it," she said softly. The smoke swirled around them. The alarm screamed in the distance. Noah looked at her. He saw the soot on her cheek. He saw the fierce determination in her eyes. "If we do this," Noah said, "there is no going back. We burn our lives down. Even if we win, we lose. You will never be queen. I will never go home." "I know," Leary said. She squeezed his hand. "Are you ready?" Noah looked at the sisters. 3 alien women who had kidnapped him, terrified him, and now, somehow, became the only people in the universe he trusted. He squeezed Leary's hand back. "Let's go get married," he said. They turned and walked into the smoke, not as a royal procession, but as a war party. The central amphitheater of the capital station was a canyon of living stone, a vast, circular chasm that had been sung into shape by the ancestors of the monarch. The tiers rose toward the vaulted ceiling like the rings of a massive petrified tree, glowing with the bioluminescent signatures of 10,000 spectators. The air in the amphitheater was thick, heavy with the scent of burning incense and the ozone smell of high-voltage broadcast fields. In the center of the arena, the floor was a perfect disk of polished obsidian, dark enough to swallow the light. Noah walked onto the disk. He felt small. The space was designed to make individuals feel insignificant, to crush the ego beneath the weight of history and the state. Overhead, the holographic projection of the monarch loomed like a synthetic god, her face vast and impassive, watching the proceedings with eyes the size of starships. Noah was not alone. Leary walked to his right, her steps measured and regal despite the scorch marks on her silver ceremonial armor. Sarah walked to his left, her hands folded into the sleeves of her tech robes, concealing the interface controls she was manipulating with frantic, microscopic twitches of her fingers. And Kira walked behind him. She was limping. Her leg was braced with a hasty field splint and her face was gray with pain. But she held her spear with a white-knuckled grip. She looked less like a princess and more like a gladiator who had refused to die in the holding cells. They reached the center of the obsidian disk. The silence of the crowd was absolute. 10,000 aliens and humans watched them. Billions more watched via the live feeds beaming across the sector. In the front row, seated on levitating platforms of gold and bone, sat the High Council, among them. Noah spotted the conspirators. There was General Vance, his dress uniform pristine, looking down at Noah with a mixture of pity and triumph. Beside him sat High Lord Kalen, the alien noble whose encrypted logs Sarah had intercepted. Kalen looked bored, as if this was merely a procedural formality before he could count his new wealth. They thought Noah was here to surrender. They thought the explosion had broken him, that the threat of execution had terrified him into compliance. A high priest glided forward. He was an ancient creature, his skin like parchment, draped in heavy robes of crimson silk. He carried a staff topped with a pulsating crystal. The high priest raised his staff. The crowd noise, a low murmur like a distant ocean, vanished instantly as the acoustic dampeners engaged. "We gather under the gaze of the monarch and the stars," the high priest intoned. His voice was amplified by the living stone, resonating in Noah's chest bones. "We gather to witness the binding." He turned his milky eyes toward Noah. The human, Noah Thorne, has petitioned the lineage for union. He has offered his heart. In accordance with the ancient rites, the acceptance of this offer binds not only the flesh but the domain. The priest gestured to the air. A holographic document materialized above them, spinning slowly. It was the treaty, the eternal union. By the joining of this man to the High Daughter Leary, the systems of his birth, the sole border territories, are hereby welcomed into the protective custody of the hegemony. They shall become the dowry of the peace, stewarded by the crown for eternity. Noah felt the sickness rise in his throat again. It was so clean, so legal. They were describing conquest as if it were a marriage gift. The priest looked at Noah. "Noah Thorne, do you reaffirm your petition? Do you offer yourself, and all that is yours, to the monarch's line? Speak, and let the galaxy witness your submission." The moment hung in the air, stretched taut like a wire about to snap. Noah looked at the priest. He looked up at the giant hologram of the monarch. He looked at General Vance, who gave him a subtle, encouraging nod, the kind one gives to a dog that is about to perform a trick. Then Noah looked at Leary. She was standing rigid, staring straight ahead. But through the empathy of the triad bond, Noah felt her terror. It was a cold, sharp thing in his mind. She was terrified for him. She was waiting for the signal. Noah took a breath. He stepped forward, moving away from the scripted mark on the floor. The acoustic dampeners whined as he moved out of the optimal zone, but his voice was steady. "I do not," Noah said. The words were soft, but in the acoustic perfection of the amphitheater, they carried like a thunderclap. General Vance's smile vanished. High Lord Kalen sat up straight. The monarch's giant holographic eyes seemed to narrow. The high priest paused, confused. He tapped his staff. "The translation matrix may be malfunctioning." The priest said, "Repeat the affirmation. Human." "I said I do not," Noah said, louder this time. He turned to face the crowd, turning his back on the priest. He looked up at the tiers of silent spectators. "I stood in a bazaar 3 weeks ago," Noah shouted, his voice ringing off the stone. "I was tired. I was nervous. And I made a bad joke. I said I was single." A ripple of uneasy laughter moved through the crowd, quickly silenced by shock. "That was the beginning of this," Noah continued, pacing the obsidian circle. "A misunderstanding, a cultural accident. But what is happening today is no accident. It is a theft." "Stop him!" Lord Kalen barked from his floating platform. "He is delirious from the attack. Guards!" Vance shouted, standing up. Kira moved. She did not run. She could not run. But she planted herself between Noah and the approaching security drones. She slammed the butt of her spear onto the obsidian floor. The sound cracked through the air like a gunshot. "Let him speak!" Kira roared. Her voice was raw, filled with pain and fury. "Or come through me." The guards hesitated. To attack a high daughter in the sacred circle was blasphemy. Noah did not stop. He walked toward the camera drones, staring directly into the lens. "I have come to know the high daughters," Noah said, his voice dropping to a more intimate, desperate register. "I have lived in their home. I have fought beside them." He glanced at Leary. She was watching him, tears standing in her eyes, her chest heaving. "And yes," Noah said, his voice cracking with the weight of the confession, "I have come to care for them. Deeply. More than I thought possible for someone who is supposed to be a stranger." He looked back at the crowd. "Part of me wants to sign this paper. Part of me wants to surrender, to let the contract define me, to be claimed and safe and loved. It would be so easy to say yes." He pointed a shaking finger at the treaty hovering in the air. "But love without consent is slavery," Noah declared. "And a union built on a lie is not a marriage. It is a cage. You are not asking for my hand. You are asking for my submission. You are twisting a joke into a weapon to steal 5 worlds." He looked at General Vance. "And you are doing it with the help of cowards who would sell their own people for a title." Vance went purple. "Cut the feed," he screamed. "Cut the audio. Now." "Sarah!" Noah yelled. Sarah threw her hands up. The interface she had been hiding in her sleeves flared to life. "I am overriding the broadcast," Sarah shouted. The holographic treaty above their heads flickered and vanished. In its place, a chaotic storm of data erupted. Giant audio waveforms appeared in the air. Video feeds magnified to 10 meters tall. Documents with redacted seals blew up to the size of billboards. The amphitheater was flooded with the evidence. A recorded voice boomed out, unmistakably General Vance's, staged perfectly. "The bizarre incident gives us the legal pretext," another voice answered. "Lord Kalen's annexation clause triggered. The human border worlds become the dowry." Then came the video of the bomb schematic, the orders to sabotage the station power coupling, the financial transfers showing billions of credits moving into Vance's offshore accounts. The crowd erupted. It was not a ripple this time. It was a tidal wave. 10,000 people stood up, screaming. Some were shouting for arrests. Others were shouting in denial. The noise was a physical force, shaking the very foundations of the amphitheater. "Cowards!" Kira screamed, pointing her spear at the noble's box. "You hide behind tradition, you hide behind love, and you plan murder." Lord Kalen was trying to flee, his floating platform wobbling as he jammed the controls. General Vance was surrounded by his own junior officers, who were looking at him with horror. The monarch's hologram flickered. For the first time, the giant face showed emotion. Shock. The data streams in her eyes swirled violently as she processed the betrayal of her own inner circle. Noah stood in the eye of the storm. He felt drained. He had told the truth. He had burned the bridge. Then Lyri moved. She stepped forward, walking past Noah to stand at the very edge of the obsidian circle. She raised her hands. She did not need a weapon. Her presence alone demanded silence. The crowd quieted, slowly, waiting to hear the air. Lyri looked at the conspirators. Then she looked at her mother's image. "We have built an empire on the idea that order is greater than the individual," Lyri said. Her voice was calm, but it vibrated with a suppressed tremor. "We claim worlds, we claim resources, and we claim people." She turned to look at Noah. "We treat them as assets, as dowries, as signatures." She reached up and unclasped her crest crown, the symbol of her status as the heir apparent. It was a delicate filigree of living metal that pulsed with the heartbeat of the station. "I will not be a part of this machinery," Lyri announced. She held the crown out. "I renounce my claim to the human Noah Thorne," Lyri said. The words echoed with finality. "Under the law of conquest, I have no right to him. He is not a prize to be won. He is a person. And if our law cannot recognize that, then our law is broken." She dropped the crown. It hit the obsidian floor with a chiming sound that seemed deafening in the silence. The reaction was immediate and violent. "Traitor!" a noble screamed from the second tier. "Daughter of broken oaths!" another shouted. "She shames the blood." The crowd began to turn. The revelation of the conspiracy was one thing, but the rejection of the ancient law by the heir herself was a heresy that shook the cultural pillars of the hegemony. Noah saw the mood shift. They were not looked at as heroes anymore. They were looked at as apostates. "Guards!" Lord Kalen shrieked, seeing an opening to regain control. "Arrest the fallen daughter. She conspires with the alien to overthrow the crown." The security drones, confused by conflicting orders, turned their weapons toward the center circle. Red targeting lasers danced across Lyri's chest. Noah felt a surge of panic. He had exposed the truth to save his people, but he had destroyed Lyri in the process. She stood there, stripped of her rank, facing the hatred of her own subjects. He stepped toward her. "I will sign it!" Noah shouted, his voice desperate. He moved to stand in front of her, shielding her from the lasers. "If it saves her, I will sign it. I will take the vow." Lyri grabbed his arm. Her grip was iron hard. She spun him around to face her. "Don't you dare!" she hissed. Noah looked at her. Her eyes were blazing. "And they will kill you, Lyri," Noah said. "Or they will exile you, let you lose everything." "If you sign that paper to save me," Lyri said, her voice fierce and low, "you make my sacrifice meaningless. You validate their law. You become the thing we are fighting against." "But I cannot let you fall alone," Noah said. "Then stand with me," Lyri said, "not as a husband, not as a subject, as an equal." They locked eyes. The chaos of the amphitheater faded into a blur of noise and motion. The lasers, the screaming nobles, the looming monarch. It all became background radiation. In that moment, They communicated without words. The triad bond flared, blindingly bright. Noah felt her love, no longer hidden, no longer strategic. It was a vast, terrifying, beautiful thing, and she felt his. They realized that saving each other's lives was not enough. They had to save the truth of what they were to each other. If he signed the treaty under duress, even to protect her, their connection became a lie. Noah took a breath. He nodded. He did not sign. He did not bow. He took her hand, interlacing his fingers with hers. "We stand," Noah said. They turned to face the crowd together, hand in hand, defiant against the galaxy. "Cease." The voice was not the high priest's. It was not the monarch's. It was a synthesized, omnipresent voice that came from the station's own core. The independent mediators. A swarm of white drones descended from the ceiling, moving with insectoid precision. They formed a barrier between the circle and the crowd, their force fields glowing with neutral white light. "The Galactic Mediation Guild assumes jurisdiction," the voice announced. "Evidence of high treason and conspiracy has been authenticated." General Vance and Lord Kalen were suddenly bathed in stasis fields, freezing them in place. "All parties are under investigative detention. The ceremony is annulled. The Treaty of Eternal Union is void." The tension in the room snapped. The conspirators were trapped. The coup had failed. But the danger was not over. The monarch's hologram leaned down. Her face was unreadable, a mask of blue light. "The law has been broken," the monarch rumbled. "The conspiracy is a rot in my court. It shall be excised." Her gaze shifted to Leary. "But you, my daughter, you have publicly renounced your station. You have cast down the crown. You have chosen the human over the hegemony. I chose honor." "Mother," Leary said, her voice steady. "You chose chaos," the monarch said. The verdict came down 3 days later. Noah, Leary, Sarah, and Kira stood in a private hangar bay. They were not in cells, but they were not free. The Mediation Guild and the monarch had reached a compromise. To execute the sisters would spark a civil war. To let them return to power would destabilize the government. Leary was now a polarizing figure, loved by reformers and hated by traditionalists. And Noah was a political radioactive isotope. His presence in the capital was a constant reminder of the attempted annexation. The solution was a political classic: removal. "You are cleared of treason," the mediation droid informed them. "However, your presence in the core systems is deemed inflammatory." "We are being exiled," Sarah said flatly. She was leaning against a crate, her arms crossed. "Relocated," the droid corrected, "to a frontier observation moon in the outer rim. You will serve as cultural liaisons." "It means we are banished," Kira said. She was sitting on a medical crate, her leg now properly bandaged. "But at least we keep our heads." Noah looked at Leary. She was staring at the ship that would take them away. It was not the royal cruiser. It was a sturdy, functional transport. "I am sorry," Noah said. "You lost your throne." Leary turned to him. She looked different, lighter. The crushing weight of the empire was gone from her shoulders. "I lost a chair," Leary said. "I found a life." The hangar doors opened. The monarch entered. She was not a hologram this time. She was real. She was 10 feet tall, towering over them, her physical presence overwhelming. She stopped in front of Leary. "Mother," Leary said, bowing her head slightly. The monarch did not reach out. She did not embrace her daughter. She studied Leary with ancient, cold eyes. "You have broken the line," the monarch said. "You were the strongest of them. I crafted you to rule." "I was not crafted," Leary said, meeting her mother's gaze. "I was born." The monarch was silent for a long moment. She looked at Noah, then back to Leary. Go to your moon, daughter. Build your small life. She turned to leave, her cape swirling around her like a storm cloud. Then she paused. History will judge you, Leary, the monarch said, not looking back. It will call you a fool who threw away an empire for a feeling, or it will call you the visionary who saw that the empire was dead. She began to walk away. Do not disappoint history. The monarch vanished into the corridor. The airlock to the transport cycled open. Noah looked at the ship. It was ugly, utilitarian, and small. It was going to a rock in the middle of nowhere. He looked at the sisters, Kira, polishing her spear, Sarah, already hacking the ship's entertainment system from her wrist comp, Leary, standing tall and free. He took Leary's hand. Ready for the honeymoon? Noah asked, a small smile touching his lips. Leary laughed. It was a real laugh, bright and unburdened. I hope there is pizza, she said. They walked up the ramp together behind them. The capital station continued its slow rotation around the dying star, but they did not look back. They were heading into the dark, but for the first time, they were bringing their own light. The frontier moon of Kalos was a world of water and light. It did not have continents. Instead, it had archipelagos of floating wreckage, massive, centuries-old starship hulls that had crashed into the shallow oceans and been repurposed by scavengers into drifting cities. The tides here were bioluminescent, glowing a fierce neon blue that matched the auroras curtaining the night sky. It was the furthest possible place from the rigid, stone-silent halls of the capital station. It smelled of salt, rust, and alien kelp. It was noisy, chaotic, and completely unmapped by the imperial census. It was perfect. Noah stood on the deck of their new home. It was a structure cobbled together from the bridge of a decommissioned frigate and a cluster of prefabricated habitat modules, welded onto a floating pontoon. It leaked when it rained, which was often, and the gravity generator had a personality, sometimes drifting sideways after lunch. Noah wiped grease from his hands with a rag. He looked out at the settlement. Ships bobbed in the harbor, connected by swaying rope bridges and hard light walkways. Children of a dozen species ran across the decks, chasing flying fish that leaped from the glowing water. Noah! A voice called from the roof. Noah looked up. Kira was perched on the radar dish, her spear stabbed into the metal plating to anchor herself against the wind. The storm shield is flickering again, she shouted. The western emitter is out of alignment. Noah sighed, but he was smiling. I am coming up. This was their life now. No diplomats, no bombs, just broken generators and leaky roofs. The adjustment period had been interesting. A week ago, the storm season had hit. The wind on Kalos did not howl. It screamed. The waves rose 30 feet high, crashing against the floating city. Noah had been outside, strapped to a support strut, trying to weld a loose plating panel before it tore off. Rain lashed his face, blinding him. Hold it steady, he had yelled over the roar of the wind. Leary was beside him. She was not wearing a royal gown. She was wearing heavy, stained mechanics coveralls, her hair tied back in a wet, messy knot. She gripped the panel with hands that had once held only scepters and data slates. I am holding it, Leary shouted back, bracing her boots against the slippery hull. But the wind is stronger than the mag clamps. Sarah appeared at the window of the control room, safe and dry, holding a mug of tea. You two look very heroic, she broadcasted over the comms, and very wet. Try diverting power from the toaster to the magnetic field. We do not have a toaster, Noah yelled. We did, Sarah replied cheerfully. I scavenged it to build a localized heater for my feet. Oops, Leary laughed. It was a sound that was becoming more frequent. A raw, unpracticed laugh that cracked through her regal conditioning. Just weld it. Noah, she yelled. Noah struck the arc. Sparks flew, sizzling in the rain. He felt the heat of Leary's body next to him. Her shoulder pressed against his for stability. She was solid, real. They fixed the shield. Afterward, they sat on the floor of the airlock, dripping wet, shivering, and sharing a ration bar that tasted like cardboard. We saved the house, Leary said, wiping soot from her forehead. We saved the toaster, Noah corrected. They looked at each other. Leary's eyes were bright, the bioluminescent patterns on her skin pulsing with a soft, warm rhythm. I have never fixed anything before, Leary whispered, looking at her blistered hands. I only ever ordered them to be fixed. You are a natural, Noah said. Leary looked at him. Thank you, engineer. The adaptation went beyond survival. It seeped into the community. The settlers on Kalos were outcasts, political exiles, debtors, and refugees. They were suspicious of authority, but they were also practical. When they saw the former High Daughters hauling crates and patching hulls, the suspicion turned to curiosity. Sarah found her place first. She discovered that the settlement's barter economy was inefficient. Within a month, she had organized a trade exchange using a scavenged server, optimizing the flow of food and fuel. She sat in the market square, surrounded by holographic displays, arguing rates with grizzled alien fishermen who quickly learned not to underestimate the woman with the sharp smile. Kira found the militia. The settlement had no police, only a ragtag group of volunteers who fought off pirates and sea predators. Kira watched them train for one afternoon, shook her head in disgust, and walked onto the sparring mat. She disarmed 3 of their best fighters in 10 seconds without dropping her spear. By the next morning, she was their commander. And Noah and Leary, they built a home. It was a comedy of errors. Their living space was cramped. Leary, used to palace wings, tried to organize their small common room with military precision. Why is the couch at a 45-degree angle? Noah asked, tripping over a footrest. It optimizes the flow of movement to the kitchen, Leary explained. Holding a data pad. It blocks the view of the TV, Noah argued. The screen is a distraction, Leary countered. It is a hockey game. Leary, Noah said. They argued over laundry. They argued over who cooked, Noah, because Larry's attempt at soup had dissolved the pot. They argued over the temperature of the sleeping quarters. But the arguments were devoid of malice. They were the friction of 2 lives finally touching without a buffer. And in the quiet moments, something else began to grow. It happened in the mornings. Noah would be at the workbench, repairing a drone. Leary would be beside him, sorting microchips. Pass me the hydro spanner, Noah would say. Leary would hand it to him. Her fingers would brush his. The contact would linger, a second too long. Noah would look up. Leary would be watching him. The look in her eyes was not the guarded assessment of the capital. It was soft, curious. Your pulse is elevated. Sarah would call out from the other room, not looking up from her book. Get out of my head. Sarah. Noah would call back, flushing. I am not in your head, Sarah would reply. You are broadcasting on the public frequency. It is very loud. The romance did not explode like a supernova. It grew like the coral on the hull, slow, resilient, and beautiful. One evening, 6 months after their arrival, the auroras were particularly bright. The sky was a ribbon of green and violet fire. Noah finished his work early. He found Leary on the lower deck, sitting on the edge of the pontoon, her legs dangling over the glowing water. "Mind if I join you?" Noah asked. Leary looked up and smiled. "There is plenty of ocean." Noah sat beside her. The silence between them was comfortable, filled only by the lap of the water and the distant hum of the settlement generators. "Do you miss it?" Noah asked after a while. "The palace? The power?" Leary picked up a pebble and tossed it into the water. It glowed as it sank. "I miss the showers," she admitted, "and the libraries, but the power, no." She looked at her hands. "I spent 100 years being a symbol. Noah. I was the avatar of the lineage. I was the treaty maker. I was never Leary." She turned to him. "Who are you?" "Noah. Now that you are not the engineer or the consort." Noah thought about it. "I am the guy who knows how to fix the toaster," he said. Leary chuckled. "Be serious." "I am." Noah hesitated. "I am a man who ran away from Earth because he didn't fit in. My family wanted me to be a lawyer. They wanted me to be sharp and ambitious, and I just wanted to make things work." He looked at the horizon. "I think I liked the contract at first," he confessed quietly. Leary went still. "You did?" "Yeah," Noah said. "I mean, I hated the danger, but there was a part of me, a weak part, that liked having the choice taken away. It is scary to be free. Leary, if I mess up now, it is on me. If I chose you and it failed, it would be my fault. But if the law forced us together, I could blame the law." Leary looked at him with intense understanding. "I know that fear," she whispered. "I was raised to believe that claiming things, systems, resources, people was the only way to be safe. If you own it, it cannot hurt you." She turned her body toward him, tucking one leg under her. Her violet eyes were wide, shimmering with the reflection of the auroras. "I do not know how to do this." "Noah," she said, her voice trembling slightly. "I do not know how to love something I do not own. I am afraid that if I do not hold you with a contract, you will drift away, like everything else in this chaotic world." Noah's heart began to pound. It was a heavy, rhythmic thudding in his chest. He shifted, turning to face her. He reached out and took her hand. Her skin was cool, the bio-patterns swirling slowly against his palm. "You do not have to hold me," Noah said. "I am not drifting." Leary squeezed his hand. She took a breath, steeling herself. "Noah," she said. She looked at him, stripping away the last of her royal armor. She was just a woman, sitting on a rusted dock, terrified and hopeful. "If there were no contracts," she asked, "if there were no laws, if no empires were watching and no wars were at stake, if it was just you and me, with nothing to gain and everything to lose." She paused, her voice dropping to a whisper. "Would you still choose me?" The question hung in the air, heavier than any treaty. Noah looked at her. He saw the scars on her spirit. He saw the strength it took to ask that question, to give him the power to devastate her. He stepped closer. He placed his other hand on her cheek. "Yes," Noah said. Leary let out a breath, a sound like a breaking wave. "But," Noah added softly. Leary froze. But not once. Noah said, "I do not promise you forever." "Leary, that is a contract. That is a cage." He stroked her cheek with his thumb. "I choose you today, and tomorrow. I will wake up and I will choose you again. And you have to do the same. We have to leave room to say no. Because if we cannot say no, the yes does not mean anything." Leary stared at him. Tears pooled in her eyes, spilling over to track glowing paths down her face. Every day? She whispered. Every day, Noah promised. Leary closed the distance. She kissed him. It was not the tentative, accidental closeness of the station. It was deliberate. It was terrifyingly open. When her lips touched his, Noah felt the world tilt. It was a rush of sensation, the taste of salt and electric ozone, the warmth of her breath, the desperate, trembling pressure of her hands gripping his shirt. It felt like coming home to a house he hadn't known he was building. The kiss carried the weight of everything they had survived. It tasted of the fear in the bazaar, the anger on the ship, the defiance in the amphitheater. It was an outpouring of grief for the lives they had lost and a fierce, blinding joy for the life they had found. Through the triad bond, Noah felt a wash of emotion that was not his own. He felt Larry's relief, a vast, crumbling wall of stone finally giving way to light. He felt a sense of safety that had nothing to do with shields or armies. He pulled her closer, deepening the kiss, telling her without words that he was here. He was hers, and he was staying. When they finally broke apart, breathless and dizzy, they rested their foreheads together. I felt that. A voice deadpanned from the roof. Noah and Leary jumped apart. Sarah was leaning over the railing above them, looking unimpressed. "You two are broadcasting on all frequencies," she said. "It is very distracting. I am trying to calibrate the fishing drones. Go away." "Sarah," Leary laughed, wiping her eyes. "I am happy for you," Sarah said, her voice softening. "Truly. But please employ some mental shielding. It is getting noisy in here." The weeks that followed were a learning curve in intimacy. The bond was a complication. It meant that secrets were impossible. If Noah was annoyed, Leary knew. If Leary was insecure, Noah felt it, and Sarah and Kira felt it too. They had to have a meeting, a literal family meeting around the kitchen table. "Okay," Sarah said, placing a jammer on the table. "We need boundaries. It is not like we are trying to share," Noah said, his face burning. "I know," Kira said, sharpening her spear. "But when you look at Leary like that, I feel a sudden urge to write poetry. It is disgusting. I am a warrior." "We need to learn to compartmentalize," Leary said, her hand resting on Noah's knee under the table. They worked on it. They practiced meditation techniques Leary remembered from her training. They learned to visualize walls, to keep their private emotions contained within their own minds. It didn't stop the teasing. "So," Sarah said one evening as she watched Noah and Leary cooking dinner together, "the feedback suggests you are very compatible." "Sarah," Noah warned, pointing a spatula at her. "I am just the advisor," Sarah said, holding up her hands. "I analyze data, and the data says you two are disgustingly in love." It wasn't just teasing, though. It was a check-in. Sarah and Kira were protective. They wanted to make sure the dynamic didn't shift back to the old power imbalance. They needed to know that Noah wasn't being overwhelmed by the formidable personality of the former heir. And Noah needed to know that the sisters didn't feel abandoned as he and Leary formed a tighter unit. "We are still a family," Noah said one night, looking at the three of them. "Just a weird one." Sarah smirked. "We are a pack, and you are the mascot." "The mascot?" Noah asked. "You are the soft one we keep around for morale." Kira agreed. Noah looked at Leary. "Are you going to defend me?" Leary smiled and kissed his cheek. "You are very good for morale." Life settled into a rhythm. Leary and Noah were the center, the gravity well. Their love was the anchor. Sarah became the diplomat of the settlement. She mediated disputes between salvagers, her sharp wit and ability to sense deception making her invaluable. There was a rumor she was seeing a local kelp farmer, a quiet man with kind eyes. But whenever Noah asked, she just smiled and tapped her temple. Private channel. Kira became the guardian. She trained the local kids in self-defense, teaching them that strength was not about hurting, but about protecting. She walked the perimeter of the floating city, her spear in hand, looking out at the horizon not with paranoia, but with pride. She had something to defend now that she actually cared about. The galaxy beyond their moon continued to turn. Occasionally, news bursts would reach them via the trade ships. Imperial Reform Act passed. The headlines read, "Consent clauses added to all diplomatic treaties." The exiled daughter, traitor or prophet, Leary read the news with a detached interest. "They are debating my legacy," she said, scrolling through a fiery editorial. "Let them debate," Noah said, handing her a mug of coffee. "You are too busy fixing the water filtration system to care." "I am," Leary agreed. "That filter is more stubborn than a high lord." One afternoon, the village elders came to the house. They were a mix of humans and aliens, weathered by the sun and salt. "We have a request," the lead elder said. "The young ones. They ask about you. They know you came from the sky. They know you gave up power. We want you to speak to them. Tell them what you learned." Noah looked at Leary. She nodded. They gathered the youth in the settlement's open-air plaza. It was sunset, the sky burning with orange and gold. Noah spoke first. He sat on a crate, looking at the faces of the teenagers. Human, insectoid, reptilian. "I made a mistake once," Noah told them. "I used humor to hide my fear. I thought words were cheap. I thought I could say something and take it back." He looked at Leary, who was sitting in the front row. "But words have power. They create realities. I learned that you have to own what you say. And if you mess up, you do not run. You stand and you fix it, even if it costs you everything you thought you wanted." Then Larry stood up. She did not need a crate. She held herself with the natural grace that never left her. "I was taught that power is the ability to force others to do your will," she said. Her voice carried over the sound of the waves. "I was wrong. Power is the ability to refuse to force others." She walked among them. Desire is strong, whether it is desire for a person or a planet or a throne. But if you take what you desire without asking, you destroy it. You turn a partner into a prisoner. You turn a home into a territory. She stopped next to Noah. She put her hand on his shoulder. "Love that starts in chaos can survive," she said softly. "But only if you plant it in the soil of honesty. Only if you water it with choice. Every single day." The talk ended as the stars came out. The community lit fires in floating braziers and music started to play, a rhythmic drumming on hollow hulls. Noah, Leary, Sarah, and Kira walked away from the crowds, heading up the path to the highest point of the settlement, a cliff overlooking the endless, glowing ocean. They stood there in silence, listening to the music drift up from below. "It is a good life," Sarah said, leaning against the railing. She looked at peace. Her mental shields were down, radiating a quiet contentment. "It is a quiet life," Kira said, perching on a sensor mast above them. She scanned the sky, her eyes tracking a distant trade ship. "But I like the quiet. It makes the storms more interesting." Noah stood with his arm around Leary's waist. She leaned into him, her head resting on his shoulder. He could feel the warmth of her, the steady beat of her heart, the hum of the bond connecting the four of them in a complex, messy, beautiful web. He looked at the horizon, where the sea met the stars. He thought about the bazaar, the panic, the bombs, the throne room. It felt like a different lifetime. He laughed softly. What? Leary asked, looking up at him. Noah smiled. He squeezed her waist, pulling her just a little closer. For the record, he said, his voice light but filled with absolute certainty. I am absolutely not single anymore. Leary smiled. It was a smile that reached her eyes, a smile that lit up the dark more than the bioluminescence below. She laced her fingers with his, holding on tight. We know, she replied softly. And this time, your declaration is heard only by those who have already chosen you back. Above them, the auroras danced, and the ocean glowed, and the four of them stood together on the edge of the world, finally, truly, unbound.